South China Sea trembled once again. On October 12, 2025, two Philippine government vessels, 3002 and 3003, sailed toward the reefs of Tiexian Jiao, a tiny patch of territory north of Fiddle Reef that Manila considers part of its exclusive economic zone. But for Beijing, it was nothing less than a provocation. According to Xinhua, the ships ignored repeated warnings before being intercepted by China Coast Guard vessel 21559. Beijing's version claims the Philippine crew performed a dangerous maneuver, crossing the Chinese vessel's bow and causing a minor collision. "We acted lawfully and safeguarded our national sovereignty," said Coast Guard spokesperson Liu Dezhang, quoted by Global Times. But across the same waters, Manila told a very different story. AP News reported that Philippine ships were rammed, blasted with high-pressure water cannons, and forced to retreat. The BRP Datu Pagbuaya sustained minor damage, though no crew were injured. Manila accused China of aggression and intimidation against Philippine authorities operating inside their own waters. Within hours, the Philippines filed a diplomatic protest. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. repeated what's become his defining line: "The Philippines will not back down from the South China Sea." Washington's response was immediate. Reuters wrote that the U.S. State Department condemned China's actions as dangerous and irresponsible, warning that any further attack could trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty between the two allies. Beijing answered coldly, dismissing Manila as America's puppet looking for attention. But everyone knows this is not a single event. The same sea, the same ships, the same drama. It just keeps replaying. In June 2024, Chinese Coast Guard vessels rammed a Philippine resupply mission heading toward the grounded warship BRP Sierra Madre at 2nd Thomas Shoal. Several crew were injured, one lost a finger, while Beijing insisted it was legitimate law enforcement. And back in 2019, a Chinese fishing boat struck and sank the FB Gem Ver near Reed Bank. The Filipino fishermen were rescued by Vietnamese sailors, not by the Chinese vessel that fled the scene. All these incidents reveal the same pattern. Beijing claims law enforcement, Manila calls it intimidation. China holds to its 9-dash line, claiming nearly the entire South China Sea, even though the 2016 International Tribunal ruling already voided those claims. But law on paper means nothing when warships in the skies patrol the water with cannons instead of flags. China's white-tainted Coast Guard ships are the new face of expansion. They look civilian, but they act military. Equipped with radar systems, unmanned surface drones, and water cannons powerful enough to shatter glass from 100 meters away. They operate like soldiers with a different uniform, enforcing diplomacy through pressure, not words. By contrast, Philippine vessels like BRP Datu Pagbuaya and MMOV 3003 are small, slow, and lightly armed. Yet their symbolism is immense. Every flag fluttering in the sea wind is a declaration that Manila refuses to surrender. Beijing understands that power of symbolism. Every encounter, every ramming, every blast of seawater is meant to send a message, both to the world and to its own citizens, that the South China Sea belongs to China, no matter what anyone else believes. Meanwhile, Manila's persistence wins sympathy abroad. Western nations condemn Beijing, praise Filipino courage, and then stop at the microphone. But the irony doesn't end there. While Chinese and Philippine ships clash in the waves, Malaysia prepares joint military drills with Beijing, proudly titled Peace and Friendship 2025. The name sounds diplomatic, the timing sounds ridiculous. While Filipino sailors are being drenched by Chinese water cannons, Malaysian officers will be standing beside them, smiling for cameras. For Beijing, it's a propaganda victory, proof that Asia is ununited. For Kuala Lumpur, it's opportunism dressed as diplomacy. Malaysia embraces the dragon and calls it friendship, hoping not to feel the fire. And China loves it because Beijing doesn't need to conquer every neighbor, just divide them one by one. The South China Sea is no longer about coral reefs or sandbars. It's about power, law, and who gets to decide what either of those words mean. Every time a Chinese siren echoes and a water cannon roars, the world watches a quiet form of modern colonialism, one built not on bullets, but on pressure and fear. And when Malaysia poses for photos beside Chinese officers after those peace drills, the hypocrisy is too heavy to ignore. How can one preach peace while standing next to the hand that drenches its neighbor? Through it all, the Philippines keep sailing. Small ships, wary crews, and the unshaken pride. Because for them, every meter of sea isn't just territory, it's dignity. And in a world that pretends to be civil, maybe only small nations still believe in the meaning of justice. If you see this conflict as more than a fight between nations, then you already understand the world has never truly been at peace. If you want to hear more untold stories like this, the ones hidden behind official statements and empty diplomacy, don't just scroll past. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and be part of the voice that refuses to stay silent. Because silence, that's exactly what power wants.